The other day, I was thinking about small comics. Not tiny comedians, but small comic books. After I bought this. This is from the very early 1980s, I think 1981. This is the best of DC, Secret Origins of Supervillains, and it collects on newsprint a bunch of stories from back in the day, probably Silver Age, Golden Age, one of the ages, of DC supervillains. So you've got the origin of the Penguin, Man of a Thousand Umbrellas. You've got Aquaman, Coward King of the Seas, which is an Ocean Master story. Here comes Captain Boomerang. The Shark That Hunted Human Prey. The Shadow Thief of Midway City, which is a Hawkman story. Green Arrow vs Red Dart, and Superman Power of the Parasite. And you know, it's perfectly serviceable. It cost me more than the 95 cents that it has on the cover just there. And I bought it because it was there, and I quite liked it. I quite like the idea of this, because if you've seen this, if you've watched old videos on this channel before, because I don't know, you wanted to go to something to help you go to sleep, you'll have seen me talk about these. These are the Marvel pocketbooks, which was arranged, published. I assume they were published elsewhere, but the set that I have are United Kingdom prints of them. And they are much smaller than your standard comic book size. Let me just reach over here for a standard comic book. You know, there you go, standard comic book size. Probably all know what one of those look like anyway, but much smaller. But designed to be, first of all, inexpensive, because whereas a single comic, you know, it charts one particular issue of a story, this collects them all into one, well, printed book. This is Peter David, stories by Peter David and David Michelini, art by Rick Buckley, I think that says. I've got new glasses, I'm getting used to them. And Todd McFarlane, you know, Birth of a Monster says this is Venom. It's one of the later ones, admittedly. A lot of the older ones tended to be 60s, 70s, 80s, early 60s, 70s story. But again, you know, like quite nice, like that. Very colourful. A bit difficult to read if your eyesight's failing, but there you go. And we see that I mean, you know, these two weren't the only small things for comics. You had things like this. This is a Titan Books thing, reprinting Golden Age stories, early stories of Batman, not colour this time, black and white. But you know, again, $2.95, perfectly serviceable as a way of reading comics in a really small format. And you know, standard mass market paperback size. So yeah, there you go. So that's three different small sizes. So while I was at the comic book thing that I went to recently, I also saw this. Now, I paid a couple of quid less for this than I would have in the shop, and I mean, these are like a tenner. This is Superman Batman, the Jeff Loeb run, in the DC Comics compact edition format, which is, I was going to say it's a recent thing, but it's been going for a few years now. They release, very much like the pocket books, it's a complete set of story. And it could be a complete mini-series. They've done it with things like, I think it was called a limited series back in the day. I think Kingdom Come's been released. I think V for Vendetta and Watchmen have. American Vampire. A number of DC stories. Superman All-Star, I think, has been released. All-Star Superman, I think it is. You know, a bunch of... a set in a book, and they all have a fixed price. So if you buy something like the Joker, there are fewer pages in that than if you were to buy this, but it's the same price. And I like that idea of a fixed price point, so you're not going in thinking, oh, I quite like the look of that, and then you look at the back of it and it's 40 quid because it's a thicker book. Lovely art, I'll give it that. Disadvantage, matte paper. love it or leave it, it's up to you. I mean, you know, they're designed to be compact. They're not replacing standard trade paperbacks or omnibuses or whatever it happens to be. Marvel do a similar thing, and for the life of me I can't remember what the series is called, but they've this isn't necessarily part of it, because the other ones are white covers with a bit of a picture in the middle and white spines and all the rest of it. This was a tie-in for Brand New Day. It covers a lot of the Dan Slott and Dan Slott adjacent stories for Brand New Day. Not every story, but it gives an overview of what happened at the time, because as it says on the back, Brand New Day wasn't just a story, it was an era. Glossy paper, as you can see, lovely art again. And again, that was £9, so that was great. Now, I do have Brand New Day as a full-size trade paperback. Here it is. I don't know why I looked at the screen there. I know where my camera is, but as you can see, and when I say, I mean, obviously looking at it like that, you think, oh, there must probably be more pages in that. It's not the same story. This has got more story to it than this, because this is part of an ongoing trade paperback series. In fact, let's just have a look on the back of this. This tells me it collects Amazing Spider-Man 546 to 551, Spider-Man Swing Shift and material from Venom Super Special 1. This, oh, there's a sticker in the way, that doesn't help. Amazing Spider-Man 550, I think that says 555 to 557, 562, 564, 574, 576, 578, 579, material from Amazing Spider-Man 577, and Amazing Spider-Man Extra issue 2. So, you know, I mean, and whereas this is all part of an ongoing series, this is self-contained. I haven't read it yet. I will read it. So there are different ways of reading the same story, and it's true with the compacts, be it DC or Marvel. But it got me thinking, despite my love of smaller sizes, I recently went into, well, I've been into Forbidden Planet a number of times, and other comic shops. Other comic shops are available, and I've seen these oversized things. DC do them. They're called the giant size special editions. They're 11 inches by 17 inches, and I've seen individual issues. I think I've seen a couple of, I want to say graphic novels, but trade paperbacks, but in hardback, bigger. There was Spider-Man Blue, I think it was, recently I saw, and I love Spider-Man Blue. I think the last page of that is absolutely phenomenal. Heartbreaking. But these are artboard size, and right, first of all, when I saw them, I didn't see the point of them, because realistically, if I'm buying an individual issue, the recent I saw the standard size issue of a Batman comic and this oversized one. I thought, why would I buy a giant sized version of a comic book? And I still don't quite know, but it's artboard sized, because even with this, the artist on this didn't draw, and the inker and the colourer didn't all draw at comic book size. They draw bigger, and it's scaled down. So what you're getting there is, you're getting, with these giant sizes, you're getting a facsimile of the art at size, one-to-one scale. But it is something we've seen before, because although I haven't measured it, I have this in my collection as well. This is Dan Dare Operation Saturn. This is the 3rd Deluxe Collector's Edition. Let's just open it up. Now, Dan Dare, for those of you who don't know, is a British hero. He fights the Mekon, he goes into space, all the rest of it. But again, you've got pretty good, you've got pretty good artwork. Well, pretty good artwork. You've got great artwork. It looks like the original comic book page, even though the original comic would have been printed on newsprint, not on lovely stock. But it wouldn't have been I don't think it would. I say I don't think. I pretty much know that it wouldn't have been published at this size, because British comics were smaller. So you had, in Britain there were things like broadsheets, tabloids, and then, well, there were broadsheets and tabloids. And I mean, Eagle Eagle possibly was published broadsheet size. So maybe but this isn't, I don't think this is broadsheet size. I should have really looked. I'm not going to. We don't do that around here. But and this was 1795 when it was published, back in the late 80s, early 90s. So this was a collector's thing. You didn't go into a shop in the 80s, early 90s with your pocket money and pick up this. You know, you might have got it as a present from your grandparents if you were a comic book fan and they thought, oh, I read that when I was a kid, I'll get him this, he might like it. But whether you would like it or whether you would do anything with it or not is a different matter, because I can't see you reading this at school. You might have done. You might have taken it on, you know, like a book day just to show off. You're more likely to have picked up this. This was £4, £3.99. I mean, not pocket money, you know, prices in those days, unless you had rich parents. But, you know, like, you could have saved up, or your parents could have seen this and thought, oh, I'll buy that for little Johnny. He likes Venom. So we did have these oversized things before. This came as part of a job lot. I bought a job lot of stuff off eBay, and this was one of them. So again, I know where to put it, so it sits flat on underneath the shelf. Panini Books, who also did, I've spoken about before, the Marvel Selects, which are a touch smaller than standard, a touch smaller than some of the books I've got. I should have really got one down, I haven't. Released these as well. This is the premiere edition of Thor, the Mighty Thor Ragnarok, and again, it's bigger. It's smaller than my ridiculously oversized Dan Dare, but it's bigger than the trade, this Judge Dredd trade paperback, which is, I mean, this is a collection of, this is the XXX files, so it's stories from the magazine that had a more adult theme in. There's a lot of Judge Dredd, in fairness, but it was adult. And I believe these are the size of the 2000 AD magazine that they published, if not slightly smaller. I have a number of these as well, and I quite like them because they are a bit bigger. The art, because they're a bit bigger, the art is it's easier to appreciate the art than it is in something like this. Not that the art, not that it's printed at lower quality just because it's smaller. It's just that everything is smaller, whereas with this, you know, like it's easier to appreciate the art. So some 2000 AD and stuff was published in the US at standard comic book size, and yeah, I get the point, but I still prefer to read it in the bigger size. So you got this. Again, like I say, great art. I can get it with the giant sizes. I get that it allows you to appreciate the art more because you can see it bigger. You can see it as it was intended. So again, I get the point of it. Am I going to buy any? Probably not. And then it got me on to thinking, so with Thor Ragnarok, with Venom, with Brand New Days I've shown you, with that Superman thing, we get a lot of ways of reading these stories. As an example, I have just here, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now I have that as, I have the Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier storyline as a one of the Marvel Powerworks that I own, the hardback Marvel Powerworks. I've spoken about the DC Heroes and Villain one from Hachette / Hachette, published fortnightly for about a tenner, I think they were. Collects a story, forward, probably afterward, bit of art, maybe a connected story. That was the first physical way that I read Civil War. Before that, I'd read it as, not Civil War, Winter Soldier. It's the true Civil War as well. It wasn't until, the first way that I read it was digitally. And again, digitally, because I was reading on an iPad, and before that, an Android tablet. It was a much, much smaller screen. Yeah, I can zoom in, but then I'm swiping around to go from panel to panel. Would I buy a giant oversized edition of Civil War or Winter Soldier? Probably not, but I wouldn't mind individual pages. I can see a reason for that. So I mean, yeah, again, you know, great art, glossy paper, all the rest of it. I'm absolutely sure I have a copy of either this or Death of Captain America as a standard trade paperback issue as well. Because, okay, so just to show you, this is the hardback edition. If I grab this, as you can see, it's a touch larger. The trade paperback is a touch smaller than the hardback edition. There you go. That's what we've learnt there. And then you get ridiculous things. I'm having trouble putting that back on the shelf now. Like you get ridiculous things like. So this is, what's this one? This is Marvel Zombies Dead Days. It's one of a number of Marvel Zombies hardbacks that I own. Same size. And but then for reasons that escape me, I have 4 and 5 as paperbacks. So I've got Dead Days, Marvel Zombies 2, Marvel Zombies 3 and Marvel Zombies Returns as hardbacks, but 4 and 5 as paperbacks. I have no idea why. Couldn't tell you. I'm assuming I picked them up all at the same time and those were the only ones available. In fact, I did. I bought them all second hand, actually off a shelf. Probably paid a bit more than I perhaps would have done, but the way that I look at that is it would have probably cost me that amount to get them. I nearly said emailed to me, delivered to me. There you go. Yeah, so I didn't want to go back to the topic of size matters, but there was a point at which when I saw that little book, this one, I pretty much picked it up on my second look in. I'd bought other things as well that I absolutely wanted. Had a wander around the comic book convention, came back to the stall again because it's a stall by a guy who often frequents these things, and he typically has interesting things. It's just finding something that I want. And I saw that and I thought I'm going to pick that up because that appeals to me, especially given I'd spoken about these before. And it was only when I went through shelves and I found, I can't remember if I've talked about that, this trade paper, I had this mass market paperback size Batman thing. I thought, do you know what, I have ridiculous sizes of a lot of things, so I'll talk about those. Then I saw remember I had the Dan Down Thor Ragnarok thing when I was going through a different shelf. And I thought, you know what, I'll talk about those as well. But yeah, there we go. What we've discovered in this video is that I have different size books still. So what I want you to do is like, share and subscribe to this video because I'm going to keep doing them. Nothing's going to stop me. Oh no. This is going to go on forever. It's not going to go on forever. It's going to go on until I find something else to do with my time. Like read the books I own. That'll be a good thing. I will be back in the near future, no doubt. This says Heinz. There was a piece of paper in one of the books. It was not my piece of paper. I like finding stuff like that though. Anyway, yes, I'll be back next time. Don't know what I'll talk about next time. I'll figure it out when I sit down and think I'll talk about that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, which I'm sure you're about to do, and share the video. Why not? Take a moment out of your day to do a good thing. This can be your good deed for the day. I'll catch you all again next time. Bye for now. These aren't my reading glasses, incidentally. I have a pair of those as well now.